Hey guys, my name is JTVS, and today I want to talk to you about how I make my albums and EPs. Whether you're kind of having a writing block or struggling a little bit, I kind of wanted to just make this to hopefully drop some gems and see if anything can be picked. Hopefully this will be helpful to you guys. If not, I just wanted to rattle off a little bit of what I do and talk about that today. So without further ado, ugh, let's get into it. I would say for me, for starting with a project, it always starts with a concept and a theme. It can be anything. If you've known me for years, I've done video game concepts for years. Just getting into writing short stories for my albums and writing kind of like how I want to present the theme or concept to the world. Inspiration can come from anywhere. Don't limit yourself, you know what I mean? Like I would say Timekeepers, the album I released in 2024 was inspired by my uncle passing away and by the YouTube community asking me to make a Chrono Trigger album. And it just sounds very sad to me because of what was going on in my life at that time period. And I would say as far as like Chrono Trigger, I listen to the soundtrack. What I'll do a lot of times for video game inspired albums is I will actually sample the track and then I will recreate everything by hand. So that's what I did for Timekeepers. And just to give you an example of the theme and concept that inspired that, it's literally anything can inspire your album and themes. There's no limit. The only limit you set is the one you set upon yourself. I'm saying this to me too, so trust me. It's not just, don't feel like I'm saying it to you guys. This is for me as well. I would say talking about sound and production process in this stage of it, you definitely have to, as much as it would be fun to add every type of sound in it, you really have to you have to be selective about the sound you're putting. I would say my process for everything is just make it sound good. And what that means to me is if something doesn't sound right in a mix or in a demo phase, if I don't feel like I'm, bouncing along with the song, then I don't think it's right. And I will cycle through 100, 200. I will cycle through folders until I find the perfect sound. And I feel like when you have a concept and vision, that's a lot easier to do. You're able to figure out kind of what you want to do, where you want to go. I would say that goes into drums, that goes into instruments, that you have a whole world to explore, depending on what system and production and whatever VST you have, whatever, like the sky is literally the limit. And I don't mean to beat a dead horse because I feel like I said that on my last point, but literally the only limit you have is the one you place upon yourself. And I feel like that's something that's allowed me to thrive in this part of my career, is because here I don't set limits for what I do. I just want it to sound good, whether that's I keep making music until I don't anymore, which I hope is a plan, because I feel like I'm kind of learning how to release in a way that works for me and is comfortable for me. I would definitely say, yeah, be selective. There's nothing wrong with being selective. Obviously, you want to use as much sounds as you need, but being selective definitely helps bring the flow of the album together, I should say, if that makes sense. Let's talk about arrangement today. Arrangement is actually my favorite part of the album creation process because there is a balancing act when you sequence an album. You have to make sure that you're not putting too much of the same energy together. And that even goes for, let's say a house album. It would sound okay if you put 2 or 3 very high energy tracks together, but do you run the risk of it sounding kind of samey? Yes. Is it more fun to the listener to kind of break it up and like have this spread out throughout the album so you're not kind of like showing your cards all at once? Absolutely. Same with sound selection. I think there's a way to be selective. You really have to just listen to every track individually together. I definitely try to make an effort to listen to all the tracks side by side together, solo. listen to everything together and see what fits the best. I feel like since the 2020s, that's kind of how I've been it's been my mentality for how I create album sequencing. And all my favorite albums I can think of has good sequencing. Excuse me. Good Kid, Mad City, Flower Boy. Sorry, I'm a Kendrick fan. I want just that's my boy. You know, I gotta name him off. Some albums with some really good sequencing off the top of my head. All the great albums that I listen to, I feel like have that balancing act of not putting too much together and giving each track its space, you know? It's kind of like a movie. You don't put all the action together. You got to break it up. You got to have a down moment. Characters have to have a down moment to kind of collect their thoughts and come back together, and then you can incite the action. And I feel like that goes into arrangement and sequencing as well. You know, arrangement, that I feel like that's very critical. Make sure you're doing your arrangement a service and listening to these tracks carefully and making sure you're putting them in a sequence that makes sense. It's all about balance. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I'm an engineer, engineer master. Not at all. My best advice is use reference tracks. Use reference tracks. Took me way too long to realize that. What I mean by that is use songs that you like to see if your mix is anything is sticking out in your mix. I would say that's my secret. What I do. I feel like when I master, that's a whole separate process, different mindset that I go into. Just making sure everything sounds unified. You should be able to go from track 1 to track 10 on the album, and it sounds like you don't have to turn up the volume. 1 is like a reggae track, and track 10 is like a hip hop track. They should both be balanced, if that makes sense. So that's pretty much what I have on mixing and mastering. Artwork, titles, release. Usually artwork, I try to commission artists for me. I'm trying to think of what I also do. I use royalty-free pictures if I can. Guys, I'm not above doing that, okay? Trust me, some of these albums that you guys really enjoy, they have royalty-free pictures, okay? So if you gotta do what you gotta do, you gotta do what you gotta do, okay? For me, I love commissioning artists, especially as somebody that appreciates and loves arts. I try to commission when I can, try to relate it to the themes of the song. It's very rare where I'll be telling the artist, hey, listen to this album and then draw what you think it means. Usually, I have an idea of what I feel like the album cover should be, and I feel like usually it should convey the themes and concept like we talked about earlier of the album. Timekeepers, just to make an example, was a dog with a fly in a volcano, like an active volcano in the background. And I felt like that dog represented me at that time period of just kind of being lost and not knowing where to go and just feeling like dangers all around. Even with the updated cover, you know, it's a dog laying down in grass. And I felt like that also represents me kind of just being near the ground with my uncle, who I mentioned passed. And if you're unsure, ask for opinions from your loved ones if you can, because there's some times where even when I think the cover art is fire, I'll show my partner and she'll be like, hell to the no. Try to see if you can get opinions, feedback about it, you know. Nothing wrong with that, I would say. When it's done right, it feels like it's a perfect marriage, you know. But yeah, guys, I am over my time. I said I would keep you quick, and I did not. But I wanted to tell you guys that don't shoot down any of your ideas. Every time I release a project, whether that's on the mixing side, whether that's arrangement side, whether that's on concept side, the only limit that there is the one that you place upon yourself. I will reiterate that till I die. It's something I affirm and believe in, especially when it comes to creativity. Keep creating. The world needs to hear your voice. I don't think the world needs to hear every song I ever release. When I have something I feel like I want to say, that's when the album comes out, you know? And I'm not going to say I have hard drives full of albums, because I don't, but I definitely have enough songs that I've worked on over the years that I want to present to the world one day. And I hope you feel the same. I hope you feel confident enough to share your art with the world, regardless of how people feel about it or not. I think, thankfully, I've reached a point where I feel like I enjoy my music. I can step into the role of a fan and say I enjoy my music. Like, sometimes I'll listen to my really old video game music and I'll be like, dang, this is nice. I like this. And you're probably like, of course you like it. You made it, guys. Once upon a time, I did not like my music. Okay, so that's about it for me, guys. It's been real, JTBS. I hope you guys take care, and I'll see you soon.